In today's video, I'm going to be going over how to create a crab stitch on the edge of a crocheted project. It's a really cool stitch. I love it for finishing a project. You can even use it on a scarf or on a washcloth or on a hat. It just gives it that polished, like I'm complete and finished and really nicely done look. So let's get started. So I have a project that I'm working on with a student that I'm going to be using for showing you the crab stitch today. And this is a flat project. It's just a straight edge project. It is not in the round or anything like that. I will go over how to finish off the crab stitch if you're working in the round, but for the demonstration I'm going to be using the straight edge of this sample project that I am working on with a student. So I'm at the end of my row, and typically this is where you would turn the project to go in the other direction to finish off your project. But for the crab stitch, we're not going to turn it. We're going to leave it exactly how it is, because instead of working from right to left, we're going to be working from left to right. So we're going to be moving in a backwards pattern, which is why this is called the crab stitch, because it crawls backwards just like a crab does. And that's what gives us that interesting weave look that's in contrast to the direction of the stitches. So this is an extremely simple stitch, so I'm going to show you how to do it, and then we'll practice a few times. So it is just a single crochet done in the opposite direction. So I'm going to chain one just to finish off this row, and then I'm going to put my hook into the stitch next to the one I just finished, but to the right. So if I'm looking at my finished project, here is my last finished stitch. I'm going to be moving one stitch to the right into the stitch right here. So you're just going to insert your hook. Get my hook in the right direction here. And then I'm going to grab the yarn and pull up a loop, which is going to put two loops on my hook, yarn over, and pull through both of those. And it looks kind of wonky. It looks kind of like it's hanging out there in the middle of the air. That's totally normal for the crab stitch. We're going to move to the next stitch to the right. I'm going to insert my hook, grab my yarn and pull up a loop. I have two loops on my hook, yarn over, and pull through two. Let's do that two more times and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to move to the next stitch to the right. Grab the yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two. Move to the next stitch to the right, insert my hook, grab my yarn, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through two to complete the single crochet. So you can see the pattern that is emerging, and this is a very big hook. I'm using a size L 8mm hook for this project that I was already working on. So the nice thing about using this for a demonstration is you can really see the detail of these stitches and how they wrap around the project in sort of a reverse diagonal to the rest of the project. If you're using a smaller hook or you're using double yarn, that all of these stitches that wind around are going to blend together to give you less definition in between the stitches, but it will just look like you continuously wrapped that yarn all the way down, and it's a really unique sort of woven look. For the purpose of this project, we're just going to continue down doing our crab stitch single crochets. And I have tried this using a double crochet, and honestly it just looked kind of messy. It didn't make it any taller. It was exactly the same height. It was just almost like I don't even know what's a good way to describe it. It just looked kind of messy. Sorry, that stitch that was too loose. So there is a tendency with the crab stitch for the stitches to be very tight. And so you'll have a problem pulling your yarn through. It's not that big of a deal with this larger hook that I'm using, but I have noticed on smaller hooks that the tension can get a little tight. So you will want to pay attention to your tension on the yarn so that you make sure that when you're doing this, pulling up a loop, this is where you really want to gauge it to make sure that you've got that space in between your hook and the bottom of your stitch. So you should have that little bit of a gap so that you can easily finish off your stitch and pull through. Otherwise it can get a little hairy and make you feel kind of frustrated with just having to pull so hard and trying to work through really tight stitches, which is no fun. I'm just gonna finish off a couple more here so we can get a pretty good idea about what kind of edging this stitch provides, and then we'll go over what to do if you're crocheting a round project like a basket or a hat, even mittens. I bet this would be really cute on the bottom of a wrist of a set of mittens. All right. Okay, so there is our line of crab stitches that we've done, and you can see it has a very finished off woven look, which I think would be absolutely adorable on little kid mittens, even adult mittens really. Anyway, all right, so that's what it's gonna look like. Now, at the end of a straight project, when you get to the end, you know, you would just fasten it off like normal. You're just gonna cut the yarn, pull it tight, and then weave the end through. If you're working on a round project or something where you're gonna wanna have the edges fit together seamlessly, like this gray basket that I made for my daughter for her bathroom. I can't wait to do this video for you guys. When you get to the end and you can see this is a really, there's a hair there, a really good example of what it looks like with a smaller hook, and I did use 2 strands of yarn on this, so you can see like it really looks like it's just woven in over and over again, and you can't tell. I did that with the hook and it was super easy. So at the end of this, all I did was I joined it with a slip stitch, and because of the kind of join that I used on this, because I didn't want the seam to move diagonally up the side of the basket, so the way that I joined it, it does leave a visible seam, but this basket will be inside of a cupboard and facing against a wall, so it's not that big of a deal for what I'm using it for. So anyway, that's what the crab stitch looks like on a round project, joined with a slip stitch, and then I just wove in the ends of the project. So that is how you do a crab stitch finish to get a really polished off, unique woven look. And I can't wait to see what you do. Drop me some comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any amazing content and tutorials.